Welcome back to Rich Girl Real Talk, the podcast where we break down money in a way that actually makes sense. Today we're diving deep into a topic that affects every major part of your adult life, even if no one explains it. Credit. If you're between 15 and 30, you're probably just starting to interact with the credit world. Maybe you're getting your first job, your first bank account, your first credit card, or you're thinking about an apartment or a car. And you've probably heard phrases like build your credit or don't mess up your credit. But no one ever tells you what credit even is, why it matters, or how it affects your daily life. Credit is one of those invisible forces in your adulthood. You can't see it, but everything you do interacts with it. Good credit makes your life easier, cheaper, and more flexible. Bad credit makes everything harder, more stressful, and way more expensive. Today, we're breaking down what credit really is, how it works, what credit scores mean, what credit cards actually do, how debt happens, how interest rates trap people, and how to build and maintain strong credit from the start. So sit tight because after this episode, you're going to understand credit better than most adults. Let's start from the beginning. Credit is essentially a trust system. It's an agreement where the lender gives you money now, whether you need it for groceries, a car, school, or emergencies, and you promise to pay it back later. The lender doesn't know you personally, so they rely on your past behavior with money to decide whether they can trust you. That history becomes your credit profile. Credit is everywhere in the adult world. When you use a credit card, you're not spending your own money, you're borrowing money from the bank and paying it back later. When you take a car loan or a student loan, that's credit. Even applying for an apartment is considered a type of credit check because landlords want to know if you have a history of paying your bills responsibly. Lenders don't let you borrow money out of kindness. They make money off of you by charging interest. The longer you take to pay back what you owe, and the more money you owe, the more interest they collect from you. That's why understanding credit early is so important. If you use it correctly, you can borrow money at a low cost. If you use it recklessly or without understanding it, you end up paying way more than the original amount. Then you get stuck in a cycle of debt. Credit matters because it affects everything. Your credit affects your ability to get a car, rent an apartment, open a credit card, get a phone plan, qualify for loans, or even just get a reasonable interest rate. People with good credit get approved faster, pay less interest, and have more options. People with poor credit, on the other hand, need co-signers, pay higher costs, or get denied completely. For example, imagine two people buying the exact same car with the exact same price. If one person has good credit and the other person has bad credit, the person with the good credit may pay $350 a month, while the same person with the bad credit may pay $550 a month for the exact same car. The difference isn't the car, it's the credit score. Bad credit makes your life more expensive than it needs to be. Now let's talk about the part most people learn the hard way. Credit can ruin your life if you don't understand how it works. A missed payment can stay in your report for 7 years. High credit card balances can drop your score quickly. Applying for too many credit cards can make you look desperate. Taking out loans you can't afford puts you in long-term debt. Using credit cards for emergencies instead of having an emergency fund can spiral into years of interest payments and debt. Bad credit makes everything harder. You might get denied from apartments, be required to pay huge security deposits, be charged higher car insurance premiums, and struggle to qualify for loans. Bad credit can also impact job opportunities in fields that run credit checks. Everything costs more when your credit is bad, and climbing out of that hole can take years. That's why building credit the right way from the beginning is so important. Your credit score is a 3-digit number that represents how trustworthy you are with borrowed money. It's not random, it's based on your behavior. The scale runs from 300 to 850. Credit scores between 300 and 580 are considered poor, meaning lenders see you as risky borrowers. Scores between 580 and 670 are fair, meaning you might get approved but with high interest rates. Scores between 670 and 740 are good, and lenders see you as reliable. Scores between 740 and 800 are very good, and scores between 800 are excellent. These people get the best rates, the lowest costs, and the highest approvals. Your score is based on 5 things. The biggest factor is payment history, which makes up about a third of your score. If you pay on time, you're golden. If you're late even once, your score takes a hit. The second biggest factor is how much of your credit you're using. It's also called credit utilization. If you have a $1,000 limit and spend $800, you're using 80%, and that's a red flag to lenders. Keeping your utilization low, below 30% and ideally under 10%, shows you're not relying too much on credit. The length of your credit history also matters. The longer you've had credit, the more information lenders have to evaluate you. Having a mix of different types of credit helps too, like credit cards and loans, because it shows you can manage multiple responsibilities. And finally, opening too many accounts at once lowers your score temporarily, because it suggests you may be financially unstable. A credit card is simply a short-term loan. Every time you swipe it, you're borrowing money from the credit card company, and you have to pay it back later. If you pay your full balance every single month, you pay no interest and the credit card company doesn't make any money off of you. But if you don't pay it in full, that's when interest starts piling up. Credit cards usually have very high interest rates, often between 20 and 30%. That means if you leave a balance, the amount you owe grows fast. Something as small as a $40 takeout meal can turn into $80 or $100 over time. This is where people get caught. Credit cards feel easy. You swipe, you walk away. You don't see the money leave your account. You convince yourself that you pay it back later, but later it comes with fees and interest. If you don't control your spending, a credit card can go from being a tool to being a trap. To make credit cards work for you instead of against you, you need a few non-negotiable habits. Always pay your balance in full every single month. Never leave a balance if you can avoid it. Keep your utilization low by not spending anywhere near your limit. Treat your credit card like it's your debit card. If you don't have the money in your checking account to pay it off immediately, don't buy it. Set up an auto pay so you never miss a payment. Read your statements regularly so you catch mistakes or fraud early. And don't close old accounts unless you absolutely have to. Older accounts help your score by lengthening your credit history. These habits are how you build healthy credit without falling into debt. Building a credit card doesn't take a lot of money. It takes consistency. Start with a beginner-friendly credit card, like a secured card or a student card, and use it for 1 or 2 small purchases a month. Pay those purchases off in full and on time. Keep your utilization low by not maxing out your card. Avoid applying for a bunch of cards in a short period, and keep your accounts open for as long as possible. The longer you have a positive credit history, the stronger your score becomes. Over a year or two, this slow and steady approach will build a solid foundation that sets you up for future financial opportunities. Credit card companies want you in debt because interest is how they profit, so you have to be smarter than the system. Don't use your credit card when you're emotional, bored, stressed, or celebrating, because emotional spending leads to overspending. Don't use your credit card for emergencies. That's what an emergency fund is for. Don't get tricked into thinking rewards points are free money, because they're only worth it if you pay off your balance. Never pay just the minimum. Minimum payments keep you in debt for years. Know your interest rate so you understand how expensive it is to carry a balance. Credit differences show up dramatically in real life. Imagine 2 people applying for the exact same apartment. The person with good credit gets approved immediately, pays a small deposit, and moves in with no stress. The person with bad credit might get rejected entirely or have to pay a deposit that's double or triple the amount. The same thing happens with car loans. Someone with good credit gets a low interest rate and affordable monthly payments. Someone with bad credit pays hundreds extra every month, simply because lenders don't trust them. Good credit saves you money and opens doors. Bad credit closes doors and drains your wallet. It's that simple. Credit isn't something to fear, it's something to understand. Once you know how credit works, how credit cards operate, what affects your score, and how to build strong habits, you can use credit to your advantage. Credit is about behavior, not income. You don't need to be rich to have good credit, you just need consistency and discipline. So take control early, protect your payment history, keep your balances low, pay everything on time, don't borrow more than you can handle, and treat credit like a tool, not free money. Thanks for listening to Rich Girl Real Talk. If you learned something new today, share this episode with a friend who needs to hear it. I'll see you next week.